Hey everybody, WindDrakeHEX here, doing a common uncommon set 6 review for Scars of War. Been out for I think a day and a half, and so far it's been a ton of fun. Let me turn off Pandora for a second. Um, yeah, so it's been a ton of fun. Really dynamic set, a lot of interaction, a lot of great cards. Feels relatively balanced, even though it seems like everything's crazy powerful. Everything's kind of new, and optimum strategy isn't really fleshed out yet. But anyway, so I got a little bit of insight into this set. But this basically use the quadrant theory and vanilla test, and really just kind of focus on cards more or less in a vacuum, and just uncommons and commons due to their prevalence and limited. So anyway, first card is Adamanthian Cavalry is a 3/3 for 5 double threshold troop, human ranger flight. When this is valorous, it has Swift Strike. So the Swift Strike isn't totally necessary. I mean, a 4/4 flyer is going to be probably good enough. The biggest threat. I know Swift Strike sometimes and can help push through damage if there's stalls in the air. Those games just aren't very common. Even in a set like this that has pretty good support for flight, and not a lot of flight hate. So anyway, this card's fine. Definitely, I think you play one or two of these in your deck. It's a little top heavy for 3 power, but it is evasive, so it is going to do a lot of damage. And Swift Strike's going to be good. I mean, Swift Strike's always good, but it's less good on a flyer because it already has evasion. So anyway, but good card. I give it a C plus. Ardent Courage Ardent troops you control get +1/+1. It's a quick action, which is really cool. Means you can gain block with a bunch of like defensive kind of like your board and eat something huge or trade up and take out some stuff. And I mean, it's not really guaranteed that you're gonna win combat because it's just +1/+1. And it's only good for Ardent troops. So really, this card's really underwhelming for me. But I can see its upside. All in all, I'll give this card a D plus. Awakened Herald, a 2/1 for 2, single threshold diamond, necrotic warrior troop, underworld, gain. Well, you can gain 3 different thresholds. That's really good. Really good fixing. I do like how uh, this is all the factions you would want in an underworld themed deck. Really versatile. The fact that this is tacked on to a troop is amazing. I really like this card a lot. I think it's an easy C plus. I haven't found it necessary to splash too much in this set so far, but I've only played a few games, and there are some really powerful, uncommon, prismatic cards. But as of right now, it's nice to know that this card exists, and it's a 2-drop at the end of the day, so C plus. Battle Scrivener Diligence gain 3 health, 1/4 for 3. So that's the kind of stats you can kind of expect for it to trigger. But when it does trigger, is it really worth it? 3 health, not really. You want to do damage, not gain health. I don't know. I'll give this card a D just because health doesn't really help you. I mean, it can keep you alive. Sometimes it can combo stuff, but ultimately, gaining health is not. Should be the lowest priority as far as things cards do. Mainly because it doesn't really solve any problems. Like if someone can swing for 6 next turn and you gain 3, well, you might have bought yourself a turn, but it doesn't really like remove a card or stabilize or do anything like that. So, I give this card a D. Plus Scout, 2 cost, plus Scout, Troop, Coyote, Rogue, Diligence, Conscript, and Ardent Troop with cost 1. So I love everything that says Conscript on it. I know this says Diligence, but it's a 1/3 for 2. It's probably going to trigger once. If it does, it's just totally good. If this was said, if you just took the Diligence clause off, this would just be like one of the best cards in the set. I mean, for a 2-drop to have, um, presumably 2/4 in stats between two things for 2 resources is pretty incredible. Also, it could be some crazy upside thing. At the very least, it's going to be like a 1/1 for 1. I don't think there's any O1s that I can think of. Anyway, this card's really good. Obviously not good late game, but it can also stabilize if you're under a lot of pressure and stuff. So, cool card. I give it a C plus. Blindside, ready target gets +3/+3 this turn. I have played this card. It is really good. The only thing I don't like about it is that at parity, it's kind of worthless, and if you're behind, I guess it could catch you up. But sometimes, you're not necessarily um, going to be able to afford to exhaust the troop. And anyway, that's a huge setup cost. And just being able to gain +3/+3 for two, I mean, that's a good trick. I don't know. I think this card, I'm gonna give this card a C minus. It's gonna be good often, but when you really need it, you probably often just rather have just +2/+2, you know, when you're behind or at parity or whatever. So it's not very good at multiple stages of the game. So yeah, see, but it's fine. It's gonna be really good. It's just gonna get your opponent oftentimes, like quick action, ready, all that kind of stuff. So that's cool. But overall, C minus. Canyon, Fleetfoot, Mobilize, 2/4 for 4, single threshold, quick troop. This card is so good. I love this card so much. This is one of my favorite plays in all of this set so far. Just leaving a troop up, your opponent has the play. They have the tempo. They attack into you. They don't block your 2/2. They attack with your 2/2. You just eat it and like turn three or whatever. Turn three, two, turn three. You just totally up a card, and you have something that can swing back and during the development stage, during pretty much first 4 turns, and then you can just sit back and play D the rest of the game. It's just a really flexible, versatile card. If you don't have mobilize, yeah, it's not that great, but it's still quick, so it still has the shenanigans aspect to it. So your opponent's gonna be like always taken aback a little bit. I mean, eventually people are gonna play around this card, but right now it's super strong. I really like it. I actually give it a B minus. It's gained me. I mean, I know it's small sample size, but it's like gained me a card every single time I've played it. And I've played it about 6, 7 times, so it's really cool. Chastise, 2 cost, single threshold, basic action. Target troop deals damage equal to its attack to itself. So clearly, this is gonna just sit in your hand, rotting away you don't have when you're when the stats don't match up. I don't really like removal setup costs, even if it is efficient. It's just you want your removal to remove things when you want it to. Um, so anyway, I give this card a C just because removal is really good. I should probably actually give it a C plus. No, even bad removal is worth as a B minus, C plus. So I'll give this card a C plus. It's been good on me, but there's probably been plenty of games where my opponent didn't cast it. It was just sitting in his hand. So um, I don't know. It's hard to consider this. This is like 75% of a removal card, I guess. So, but removal is removal. So yeah, C plus. Darkfall Patriarch. When you play a socketed card, if this is in your hand, it gets cost -1. So there are a lot of socketed cards across both sets. Now the question is a 4/5 for 5 really worth it? I mean, it's probably on average in a dedicated deck going to trigger once. I guess theoretically this could sit in your hand and you could play it for like 3 or 4 or whatever. It's just not a huge upside getting a 4/5. By the time you finally get a good deal, it's like playing it as a 5 or a 6 anyway. So, it's not that exciting. It's that being said though, it's not so far off on stats that it's just a bad card. Um, I give it a C minus. Okay. Decree of Banishing. Deploy. Void target opposing troop. When this leaves play, put each card voided by it into play. 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I just had to check the audio. So Decree of Banishing is very good. It's not very often that your opponent's gonna constant hate it and limited. There's not a lot of. I mean, it's not enough constants running around to really warrant main decking it. So maybe in the sideboard, I guess, but that doesn't really seem like an efficient play. The sideboard against this card. So it's very strong. It's very efficiently costed. It's very much 100% removal in my book. The whole history of playing these type of cards across TCGs, like the clause on it, hardly ever sees the light of day. Like maybe 5% of the time or something. But you know, I really like this. First pick this card. It's very splashable. I give it a solid B. Great card. Diamond's Favor. It's a 2-cost single threshold quick action. Choose one. Each opposing champion sacrifices a constant. Great. Troops you control get +3. Great. Defense. Or destroy a random opposing troop with toughness of 5. So this card has just been superb for me. Every time I've played this, it's either been a huge blowout, it dealt with something I had to deal with. Haven't really used the constant clause yet, but it's going to be great when you really need it to be. Out of the whole cycle, this one has by far been the best. It's so amazing. I This card, when I first saw it, I gave it a pretty low grade, but it's just so flexible. Basically, because it has rel- two combat related abilities that are relevant, makes this card super flexible. And it's so cheap, and it's a quick action. I'm gonna give this card a B minus. I mean, just because it's not a troop and it's not removal or whatever, but it just really just comes out of nowhere and does big things. Really like this card. Dream Guide is a 2/3 for 2. Double threshold troop. Coyote Warlock deploy. Put target troop with cost 1 or less from your crypt into play. It gets flight. So you're gonna be playing this card often. Anytime you have 1 or 2 1-drops. I mean, a 2/3 for 3 isn't great, but it's not the end of the world if you have to play one. And when you do get the value, it just being able to be played instantly is really great. Obviously, it's really good on the 0/1 flyer that creates a valor when it comes into play. That if I have one of those, I'm playing one of these, especially if I have another 1-drop. And there are some good 1-drops in set 5 and 6, so this card's really solid. Solid role player, good on stats. If you can factor in, if you can trigger it, and I've been able to trigger it, 75% of the time. So it's a pretty cool card. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a C plus. Fire Tusk, 2/3 life gain for 4. No, thank you. D minus. Bad stats. Life gain by itself on a 2/3, not very good. If it was like a 2-cost, it'd be great, but at 4, forget about it. D minus. Gaunt, Spearcliff is 4-cost double threshold. Ardent, Human Warrior, Flight, Deploy, Create a Valor, and put into your hand. This card has been very excellent, mainly for defensive. I mean, it's a threat that your opponent has to deal with and respect, but it also slows down a lot of aggression. And having that extra Valor on turn 4 is really critical time to have a Valor. It can really decide who's attacking and who's blocking, So, like, who's the beatdown in the moment. I really love this card a lot. I'm going to go ahead and give it a B minus. I would play probably 4 of these in a deck. I know it sounds a little excessive, but definitely 3. Really good card. Holy Reprisal, 4-cost double threshold quick action, gain 2 for each opposing attacking troop. Then each opposing champion sacrifices an attacking troop. So, I didn't like this card when I first saw it. I don't like it anymore now. And I know there's going to be some corner cases where it's okay, but it's just not really worth the resources. Not being able to control what gets sacrificed. When it's straight up, like 1v1 on the board, yeah, it's going to be a huge swing in your advantage, but the fact they have to hold up 4 and it's double threshold means that the likelihood of playing it at its most efficient time of 4 isn't that great. And then when you finally do, and your opponent does get a board, it's kind of like this card they're just going to sack their worst troop. I really don't like this card at all. You can't even count on it as removal, in my opinion. It's going to do exactly what you want it to do, maybe like 40% of the time, 30% of the time, if even that. So, I mean, I'll give it a C because it's going to be good, really good some of the time, but anyway, not very excited about this card. Definitely, I wouldn't consider this removal at all. And I haven't seen it played either. Okay, Name Shrieker, 5-cost double threshold, 3/6 troop spirit. I think they print these kind of cards just for like stats and some, you know, either as complete filler or as like sideboard fringe things they found in testing, kind of to fill a gap of like, you know, they noticed that in certain matchups, somebody just having a 3/6 to shut them down. This is kind of like the wise sideboard card. No one's going to play this, and then someone's going to be like, dude, I got a 3/6 for 5. Go. And it just shuts down all strategies. I don't know. I have no idea. This card isn't good. I give it I gave it an F. It just sucks on stats. No, I can't give it an F because in some games that 6 toughness is going to shut everything down. So I'll go ahead and give it a D plus. D. Just give it a D. Moving on. Memory of the Fallen, 4 cost, single threshold troop. Spirit, Flight, already like it. This has +1/+1 for each different Ardent race among troops you control. So I would love it if it got that when it entered into play. I know it can get better, but it can also get a lot worse. I mean, let's face it, you're constantly attacking, blocking, trading. 2/2 for 4 isn't exciting, but if you cast this and it's a 3/3 for 4, it's pretty good. I think it's definitely something worth. I mean, if you're in Diamond and like, there's a good chance this is gonna be better than a 2/2 the vast majority of the time. Occasionally it's not, but I haven't got a chance to play with this card yet. But I think a it's gonna be the biggest threat on the board often when it's played, and it's for that reason I give it a B minus. Good card. Mesa Caretaker Troop card made single threshold 1/1. When you conscript an Ardent Troop, create a Valor and put it into your hand. So I've been really trying to make the constrict focused deck. I've been playing Evo sealed, so I haven't really been able to make draft yet. So I guess in draft this is gonna be a lot better. In Evo it's a little hard. You know, if it triggers once, it's fine. 1/1 for 1 isn't great, but if you have mobilize or something, or you want to sacrifice things, this card's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give this card a C just because I know it's gonna be really good in certain decks, but its stats are really bad, and it's possible it just never triggers in a lot of cases. So, just a C. Moving on. Mooncall Ceremony, conscript an Ardent Troop with cost 3. The created card gets cost 1. So, this card's great. I know it's like basically like just saying pay 3 resources, play a random 3 cost Ardent Troop. Right? But that's awesome. I know it adds RNG and all that kind of stuff, but I really love playing this card. It's really fun. I'm gonna give it a C plus, even though random distribution amongst all 3 drops should be a C. You know, there should be bad ones and good ones and whatever. So, but because of the fun factor, I give it a plus. So I haven't really understood why it's quick action yet, other than you can hold stuff up, you know, and play this at end of turn and not really get a tempo loss. But it's not really a tempo loss anyway. I mean, you get it all averaged out. It's a 3/3 for 3, which is fine, and you could do it on installment plans, which actually makes it kind of better. So anyway, C plus. Moonglow Hunter, 5 cost, double threshold troop, card warrior, Deathcry, conscript an Ardent troop with cost 4. So I think this card's great. It's probably going to trade with something, not your opponent's 5 drop, but the other thing they attacked you with, or it's going to eat a trick or something. But then you're going to, you know, it's going to replace itself, and that's a really powerful effect. Clearly, you know, there's a lot of powerful cards around 5 drops in this set, and a lot of them happen to be wild. But so this isn't necessarily going to solve your problems, but I think it's a lot of value packed into a card. I think, even though it does cost 9 resources and all that in total. I mean, let's be honest. If this trades with anything, you're feeling stoked, right? So, I'm gonna go ahead and give this card a C plus. I haven't got a chance to play with it yet, but I have no reason to think it's bad. Outflank, mobilize, target trooper control gets +2/+4 this turn. Played with this once. It's not as awesome as it looks. I know defensive costed tricks just don't really seem to synergize well with an average draft strategy of just beat down, win as fast as possible. So I don't know. The mobilize is fine because I mean +2/+4 for 1 is really good. It's also can save a valuable troop and all that kind of stuff. So this card is absolutely fine. It's just it wasn't that impressive the one time I played it, so that's not really saying anything. I think it's a fine trick. It's better than most tricks in this set, in that mobilize is not a very difficult thing I've found to trigger. So yeah, I'll go ahead and give it a C plus. Razor Edge Duelist is a Ardent Troop Human Rogue Diligence. This gets +1 attack and Swift Strike until the start of your next turn. So that's a great. I mean, this is great Diligent Claws, because if you can get this to trigger, it's probably going to attack for do 6 to 8 points of damage, you know? If you're on the play. If you're not, you know, it's going to be tough. But if you're in a deck with tricks and stuff, you're playing the average aggro deck, this is going to go a long way. It's going to do a lot of damage. It's really going to push your opponent to some tough decisions. I like this card a lot. It's not a lost cause on the draw. Just if you have tricks or somebody stumbles or something, this card's still fine. Overall, I give this card C+, though I can easily see it being a B- here after getting a chance to play with it more. Reversion, revert target card, sideboard. Not even going to rate it, it's just sideboard card. Royal Halberdier. Halberdier. Anyway, it's a warrior. Mobilize Steadfast, 3/3 for 4. Playing this for 2 is fine. You're at parity or in development stage. Gain a little extra value is great. Maybe you can play 2 things in a turn. That's even better. There's nothing inherently impressive about this card. Playing it without mobilizing, this card's pretty bad. So, all in all, I'll give this card a C, just because it's yeah. There's nothing. I mean, it's not a bad card. It's not like a liability to play this in your deck or anything. It just doesn't do anything that great. Even when it's perfectly set up. Save Soul, I believe, is a created card, so we won't look into that. Spiritbound Vicar is a 3-cost single threshold troop, necrotic cleric, socketable miner. Other socketed troops you control have +1/+1. So that's a cool tribal anthem-y kind of sockets matter card yet. I haven't been able to make it yet. Maybe in draft it'd be probably a lot easier. Good effect, nice bonus. Yeah, nothing really too wrong about this card. I mean, the fact if it was just a 2/2 for 3 and said socketable miner, it'd be just fine. The fact that it has a little extra bonus, maybe a lot of extra bonus, really, and a real dedicated deck, makes this card really good. So easy C plus, but like a 70, I mean, like a 79.9. You know, like really right there. Staunch Resolve, 4-cost single threshold basic action, socketable miner. Target troop gets +2/+2 and all the socketed powers of this. So I'm not a fan of these cards at all. Set you up for 2-for-1s. The upside isn't that great. Maybe if you give it the 1 attacks of flights, it's good. It could break parity and or really get ahead. That being said, when you do get 2-for-1, it just hurts you. And the ability doesn't say like I win the game. So I give this card a D. Storm Rider, 3-cost single threshold troop, crowd cleric, flight, basic 1-shot, costs 1, revert target card. So this card's great. It's a 3 single. It's an easy to cast 2/2 for 3. Awesome card. It's the old Windrake. But occasionally you're gonna get to revert something, and that's really relevant. There's still a ton of Valor floating around, and really strong card. Like this card a lot. I'd play multiples. Really cool. I want to give it a B minus, though. It's kind of hard with those stats, just because it's it's a 3-drop. So yeah. So C. Well, yeah, C plus. Stroke of Midnight, I believe, is a created card as well. Tale of Compassion, basic action, target troop you control gets diligence. Your troops get +1/+1 this turn. On a flyer, it's cool. It's this turn, so it doesn't trigger, so even when everything works out, it's not that great. Sets you up to be 2-for-1. It's definitely not worth a card to begin with. D minus. Talonkeep Watcher, a 2-cost single threshold troop, gargoyle, flight, defensive. When you control a Talonkeep Hunter or another Talonkeep Watcher, you may attack as though you didn't have defensive. Not really worth it. I like the other one better. It just buffs Talonkeepers or Talonkeeps, and this having better stats but not being able to attack, it's like, what? It's just not worth it. Not exciting. I guess if you had 12, nothing but Talonkeep Watchers and Hunters, that's great. But anyway, I have yet to see the strategy good. It's there's no reason why it shouldn't be, honestly, if you just played like 6 of these. But it's such a risk. Like, who does that? It's just such a hard thing to commit to. And the payout's not like totally there. You get a bunch of, fairly costed flyers. Like, I don't know if that's worth it. So anyway, give this card a D. Vanquish, 4 cost, single threshold, quick action. You start a target troop with attack 4 or more, Ardent Allegiance, Great Valor, and put it into your hand. Every time I've played this, which is, every time I've drawn it, it's always at a target. It's been great. That Valor, I keep forgetting that it gives me a Valor, because I'm like happy just playing this for its first line of decks, because things get so big really quick, especially when you're playing like Wild or something. So anyway, I really love this card. I think it's great. And the Valor really helps. I think this is kind of the stock removal of Diamond. It can deal with a lot of smaller troops, kind of with stats. This really helps bridge a gap because the power level on its actual troops is pretty low. So I like this card a lot. Go ahead and give it a B minus. Akuna Lookout, 1 cost, single threshold troop, Coyote Ranger, Socketable Miner, +1/+1. Yeah, this card's. I actually really like this in like a Flyers type deck as a 1/3. Um, that's really all I have to say about it. Nothing really exciting about that. I forgot to socket it, sideboard socket it, and it was a +1/+1, or it was just a flyer. It did like 6 points of damage. But that doesn't really mean that a 1/1 flyer for one's really good or worth a card. So, give this card a D+. Alright. So, thanks everybody for watching. I'll do Ruby tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying the release, and hope these videos are helping. Take care.